So what I'd like to do is I would like to welcome my good friend, Mr. Kerry Lucas, the CEO of Majestic Financial Group.
Good morning. Good morning. This is great being with a bunch of entrepreneurs. I have been an entrepreneur for so long, I can actually spell it. And it's been about 25 years. And there's a variety why we get into it, we'll talk about. I want to talk about, and what I want to do is share my knowledge and wisdom. The difference between knowledge and wisdom is knowledge applied. So you go into being an entrepreneur and then reality hits. Finance. So we'll talk about the hurdles, we'll talk about things that will help you be successful as an entrepreneur. But the main question in the statement is, so you want to be an entrepreneur. Do you know what's involved with that? You got a great idea. Well, there's a lot of reasons. My background, and I'll go through it briefly, I was groomed to be corporate. Went to college. I played football in college. And there's a place no, water boys don't break and get concussions. Yeah. Okay. I got an MBA in marketing and finance. I was in the corporate world for 10 years. I worked with Sheridan ITT Corporation, got laid off. Then I went with a smaller company, software company. Loved what I did. Absolutely loved the people. But then they took the office up to South Carolina, did away with our department, and I'm looking for work. Ran into a gentleman in the mall the next day, small business owner. He was an entrepreneur, owned 8 car dealerships, but he got into a lot of different stuff. Learned a lot from him. Loved what I did. Then he retired. Guess what? I'm retired. And then what's next? Being an entrepreneur. Seeing what you can do. Now, what we want to look at today, the reasons why you become an entrepreneur. There's hurdles that you're going to go over. I'm going to look at some statistics. Good to great. You don't want to be good. You want to be great. You got to be coachable. Communication is vital. And then there's intangibles. The tangibles are things that you can touch and feel. Intangibles you can't touch and feel. He's an athlete. He's got it. What is it? I don't know. But he or she's got it. And the same thing applies to business. So again, the why. The reasons why people become entrepreneurs. I want to be my own boss. And I'll probably hit some of the reasons, or a lot of the reasons you're an entrepreneur. I was dissatisfied with the corporate world. No advancement. My boss was bad in the corporate world, and one time you just ask somebody, how did he get the job? Who did he marry to get this job? And you're dealing with that. Bad management up the line, job loss, you've got downsizing, buyout, restructures, fired. You've been fired. Or you just want to pursue your passion. Or it could be all of the above. For me, it's all of the above. I've been through all of that. The only way you get tough is being kicked around, period. Life's experience. So let's look at your hurdles. There's financial. You're starting a business. You got to find the money. That's the engine that makes everything run. Knowledge and wisdom. There's a difference, and I said that. And what I'm here today to do with you is give you my wisdom, what I've learned. The market can change drastically. Competition are always breathing down your back. Deficiencies. Everybody has deficiencies. I don't care if you're selling software or whatever. I've got to take my deficiencies, put them aside, and accentuate my positives, what I'm doing in the business. Whatever it is. But don't anybody say, oh, we don't have deficiency with our product. Yeah, you do. Everybody does. There's emotions. What are you going to do when things are great, and what are you going to do when things are bad? The market gets turned. COVID hits. People go out of business. Okay, great. Now what are you going to do? I'm an entrepreneur. I'll go figure it out. I'll find some way to make money. And then reality hits in. When all these things hit, reality hits in. It was great having the dream, but this is the reality that's setting in. So the statistics, 20% fail within the first year, 50% within the next 5 years. It's not up here. 70% within 10 years. Reasons for failure? I don't have there's not a market for my product or service. It's a great idea to me, but I don't have a market. Undercapitalized. Major problem when you're getting any business started. You've got to budget that. And poor communication. Now, reasons why there's success. Self-discipline. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you've got to be disciplined. I don't care what industry you're in. And if you're going to be a success in life, you got to be disciplined. Somebody lazy. You realize the military, you make your bed for one reason every morning. Why? You've accomplished something. It's very simple, but you've accomplished something. And you start the day out accomplishing something. Even that simple is making your bed. Communication skills. This is vital. Some of us are great talkers. Okay, great, you talk a lot, but you better be focused. I was in a business meeting in Los Angeles, 25-story building. I'm waiting for Mr. Big. How do you know he's Mr. Big? You're waiting on him. And he comes up, and I've got a 20-minute to 30-minute presentation. Sticks his hand out, shakes my hand, he goes, great, you got 5 minutes. Tell me why I'm talking to you. He just took my presentation to 5, and I got to condense it down. For all the thing I talked, I got to highlight the points here. That's his personality. He's busy. He's one of these leaders that I don't need 500 pages. I need an outline, and I can make a decision. So communication is vital for being successful. And then money management skills also. This is a book I recommend, Good to Great. He starts out this book with this statement, good is the enemy of great. Why? I'm good. Well, guess who's increasing? Your competitor. I'm an athlete. I'm fast. I'm 4.6 on the 40. Yeah, somebody else is 4.5 and 4.4. So good is the enemy. But Jim Collins, phenomenal book. I recommend it highly. Majestic Financial, we've got a lot of financial instruments. But there are tangible assets and there's the intangible. Tangible is things you can touch and feel and see. The intangible is, I can't see that. The problems am I going to face? How am I going to handle those problems? All those hurdles you will face. And the last one that came down, that bullet point, reality will set in. This is tough. This is not a hobby. This is a business. This is not a hobby. Communication, and I put under here, you need to learn to communicate. I talk, oh, that's great. But the guy goes, you got 5 minutes. Well, yeah, but I got a 25-minute presentation. No, you got 5 minutes, or it's like, thank you very much. Boom, and it's like that. So you've got to learn to communicate. And the key word is your prospects and clients, investors for your business, financial sources, networking. Jim talked about that. You've got to talk. Networking is invaluable. It is absolutely invaluable. And I like the cold calling. You didn't bother to get any references. And then you got to communicate with coworkers. Nobody wants somebody, hey, you're really smart, but no one wants to work with you. And so you've got to be able to communicate. I've worked with Damon John in Shark Tank. I did trainings with him. Phenomenal testimony. His big thing is proof of concept. And he goes, how many did you sell? And you, X amount. He started selling things out of the back of his car in the mall. And phenomenal testimony. And he said, no one's got clothes for hip-hop kids. So these kids are coming out of the mall, hey, come here. Would you wear this hat? And he sold out in an hour in a mall parking lot. You know, no license to do that. So he made $900. He got a wreck on the way home, counting his money on the steering wheel. Just looking at the money. And boom, he goes, the thing that cost me $800 in repairs. But he's phenomenal and talking about entrepreneurs. And he's, you know, and he said, Kerry, I didn't know anything about the money. I got $1 million order, cost me 1.5 to produce it. It's great to get that order, but you got to understand everything, what's going on with running a business. You've got to be coachable. I don't care how long you've been doing this. If Jack Nicklaus took lessons in the middle of his heyday, and Tiger Woods took lessons in the middle of his heyday, you and I need to take lessons. We've got to be coachable. Mr. Nicklaus, and I know the family well, Mr. Nicklaus, at 1970, he had already won a Masters and another major. And he went to his golf coach and said, I have never played golf before. Take my hands and just redirect everything. He literally started from scratch, and he already won the Masters. That's an entrepreneur. Saying, if I'm going to compete and keep going with this, because these guys are younger than me and better, then he's coachable. If they're coachable, we need to be coachable. So what we've looked at is the reasons why you're an entrepreneur, the hurdles you're going to face, the statistics of success and non-success. You don't want to be good. You want to be great. You need to be coachable. Communication is vital. And then the intangibles you can't escape. Whatever product or service you have, you can't escape the intangibles. There's my contact information. My phone number, website, email. And as I said, I'm here to help you. I've been doing this a long time to impart my wisdom. Whatever industry you're in, you're probably not going to tell me a problem you're going through that I haven't been there. And that's what I'm here for. All right. Thank you.
Kerry. So that was great. And he's right. I've met Damon John, and I got a whole new appreciation for him. You know, you see him on Shark Tank and you have no idea, but when he goes through and tells his story and how they got LL Cool J on board, and it's
He parked in his front yard.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing what somebody is willing to go through to hit your dream and where you want to go. And that's what we're all doing here. So, great job. So who's got some questions for Kerry?
Yeah.
So what is your business?
What is my business?
Yeah.
Great. Besides helping you out.
Yes.
Like I said, we had financial instruments. And you've got to have an elevator speech somehow. I will not be afraid to talk to anybody. I'm on an airplane. My wife's sitting behind me, whatever. I will have the guy next to me, his financials by the time we land. And my wife is like, she's the opposite. She would, probably, and Jim can attest, total opposite. And I don't go to somebody in an airplane and go, hey, my name is Karry Lucas. What's your name? Hey, great. What's your social? You're not going to go up and say that to somebody.
Facebook.
But then so the financial. So my statement, I would say, he goes, well, what do? You got to be ready for that. We get money for people without creating any debt. And I sit there and I don't say anything. They're going, okay, every time I've gone to get money, I've created debt. How does that work? So he just gave me the go-ahead as communication. I'm willing to listen to you. And that sounds nice, whatever. And he reads his magazine. Okay, I'm not going to bother him. But I've gotten business on airplanes. One guy's looking for. Yeah, it's amazing how many friends you got when you can find money. When it's large corporations, I've done tens of millions for stuff. For someone, I just need $100,000. Factoring invoices, factoring, buying accounts receivable. Okay, you can, and I started brokering that. Because as an entrepreneur, I was buying and selling mortgages, and I was flipping them. I have no money of my own. I was just the intermediary. Someone's got a mortgage note. I know where the funders are will buy those. It's a privately held note. Put them together, and I make $20,000. And you look at that, or sometimes I make $2,000 or $3,000. But I did that. In factoring, you can go to a business if they're creating an invoice. They can sell that invoice. And I don't care if that invoice says net 30. You go to Walmart and you're a vendor, and Walmart says net 30. When do they pay? Whenever they want to. It's the 800-pound gorilla. Look, if you don't like those, these terms, we're paying in 90 days. We can go find someone else to buy 20,000 T-shirts from a month. So you do whatever they say. So now you can take that invoice, go to a factor, get 80% of that within 24 to 48 hours, and then they take their fee out. And by the way, everybody in this room knows about factoring. Everybody. Why? You got a credit card? So you go to the store, and I'm buying something from my wife, and I get her dress, and I accessorize. I've had that beaten into me. You got to accessorize. So you accessorize and do all that stuff, and I take out my credit card, and they go, oh, we don't take credit cards. What just happened to that sale? Went down, right? So now I give them my credit card. Who collects from them? American Express, right? They have a receipt right there. They turned into American Express. So then American Express pays them, and the American Express comes to me for the check or whatever, send it, via email now to pay on that. That's factoring. So I got into it one time with a guy, and I was doing a seminar, and he goes, well, that stuff's expensive. It's 2% for 30 days, or 1.5. And at the break, I had people come up to me and couldn't understand that. I said, okay, you're doing $100,000 a month, right? You use that money to pay payroll. You $100,000, okay? It's going to cost you, what, $2,000, okay? So I get my money within 24, 48 hours. The factor gives you a check for $80,000, and they hold it in reserve 20,000. And then when that pays off, they give you back the 18, which is minus their fee. So this guy goes, yeah, but let's multiply 2,000 times 12 months. That's $24,000. We mixes apples and oranges here. And a lot of people start getting it. And this guy was a financial manager from a small company. And I'm like, I'm glad I'm not in that small company. So I finally said, look, how much is your car payment? What, $400 a month? Okay. So how much have you used in 1 year? $4,800. You don't send a check out for $400, reel it back in with a fishing line, said save money. No, you've used. So if you're paying $100, you're using $100,000 a month for payroll, you've used what? $1.2 million per year. 24,000 of that is what? 2%. No one's going to pay 24,000 on 100,000. That's usury laws and stuff like that. So I got into the finance, and I'm a weird mixture. The best way to think of me, and I've only been here for a little bit, and you can tell, I am a digit head with personality. My dad was an aerospace engineer. I mean, boom, everything compartmentalized. But then I've got the personality of my mom. So you guys as entrepreneurs, you're technical, but you got to be able to sit with somebody and you got to decipher right away. So you want to know what we do. Boom, here's the financial things. But what I wanted to share with you is about the intangibles of running a business, the communication. So great question. So financial, but also I've done a lot in the financial field and in marketing.
So, and just to clarify something, so factoring, it's a way for businesses that have primarily manufacturing a lot, where they've manufactured a product, they've got it sitting on the dock waiting for the company to come pick it up. But they could use the cash that's sitting there to start another order for somebody else. So factoring allows a manufacturer or the company that's selling a large product that's tangible to be able to get that cash flow back. So now they're continuing to grow, and then when this company comes in, et cetera. So go ahead, you had a question?
Yeah, when you're recruiting or partnering, like what intangibles do you look for in a person?
Okay, so what intangibles do I look for in a person if I'm working with somebody? Okay, great question. I'm so old that thank you very much. The good thing about being 95, people say you look great for 95. Is he really 95?
No, you're an entrepreneur.
So the question is, I'm so old that I can actually walk down the street and not look at a phone. That's how old I am. Right? I mean, you look at now, it's like, and my wife got me a t-shirt, there's 5 love languages. There's 6. And it says, sarcasm is my love language. So I will stand in an airplane right in the middle, and I'm usually bumped up to first, but not all the time, and I'll stand there and see how close people can get to me. And I'll go, excuse me, and they'll go, oh, sorry. Just walking off the plane. And I promise you, if there wasn't a tube tied to the plane, you'd see people just diving off, just walking. So the question is, what do I look for? I look for attitude. I played at a high level of college football. And I was not a starter. My roommate was All-American, but I was good enough to make the squad. And so attitude's everything. We cannot teach a guy to tackle. If you tackle the wrong guy, we'll get you to hit the right guy. But I can't give you the drive to tackle anybody. So we can take somebody with a good attitude that's coachable, and you can make them. I've spoken to thousands of people over the years. And I gave up on going, who's going to be successful, who's not. You know why? I can't tell what's inside of you. I mean, my wife goes, how does Coach Bowden remember you? Well, first of all, I was there the first team. Probably he's this idiot that's out there my size trying to play D1 football. I just had the drive. I had the drive. I got beat up. The trainers got tired of patching me up. I mean, everything. And I was never a starter, but they helped me in life and business, and absolutely helped me in business and family life. So, good question. I'm looking for attitude. You've got to have some qualifications. I want to be a doctor. I never went to medical school. I want to be an accountant. But you got to have the qualifications. But I'm looking at attitude. You want to go up in the company or wherever you're doing? Show up early, leave late. Now, you're an entrepreneur. I work in the corporate world. What I got tired of is you're not going home till we tell you you're going home. 7, 8 o'clock at night. There's no 9 to 5. So now I work for myself for the last 25, 30 years, and I work longer hours, but I can quit whenever I want. And I can take Tuesday off if I want. I hit the ground running, but now I'm in control of that. And that's kind of an entrepreneur attitude. So good question of if attitude's everything.
Burning desire. Bob?
Yes.
Have you ever been broke?
Have I ever been broke? No. No. Never been broke. I'll find a way to make money. Legally. Legally. But I'll find a way to make money. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you talked a little about the intangible factors that you look for when you're working with someone.
Right.
What about the tangibles? Like, are you looking, when you want to start working with a company, are you looking at their books? Are you running some kind of financial report?
Yeah, the question is, what you said to intangible, what about tangibles? Yeah, if we're going to factor somebody, then we're looking at their books. Now, here's the thing about the factoring, because we do other funding and stuff, but the factoring, you could be a brand new business, and you've got a contract with Disney. We're looking at Disney, because that's where the payment comes from. So you go to a bank, and they go, how long have you been in business? Oh, about an hour now. Or 5 months, and they go, sorry, can't work with you. But now, it's different when I get paid by Disney. I get paid by Walmart. Whatever, then that's a whole different thing as far as the intangible. So, we're going to vet them heavily to make sure the payment comes in. That would be a tangible asset that we look at.
Exactly. Okay, you had a question?
Curious, what other types of financing do you do, and do you graduate your clients to traditional funding after they get a certain point?
Yeah, so the question is, what kind of financing do you do? Do you graduate them to other additional finance when they yeah, in the factoring situation, let's just go back to that. You're young right now. You're not going to need us in a while, but you do need money to get going. I don't have money. That's a huge hurdle getting started. Everybody in here been there when you started your business and stuff? It's a great idea. How are you going to fund it? So I got a contract with these people, and so now you can come to get your invoices paid as much as you want or as little as you want. Now imagine going to a bank and saying, here's what I want, when I want it, how I want it, and the amounts I want it, and by the way, here's what I want to pay for an interest rate. File that under never. So now, if you don't want to factor 1 month, you don't factor that month. You don't give us any invoices. Other funding, raising capital for a guy that has been in business for a long time, but he needs $30 to $40 million. Not factoring, but you're going to investors. If you don't have a securities license, you can't do that. But in marketing, I can get a marketing fee from his company to put him in touch with them. I don't call the person that has the money. I just know the people how to do that. One of my favorite times in watching Shark Tank, and I was moaning. This guy came out, and all the sharks kind of passed on it, except for, it wasn't Damon. Yeah, it was Mark. So he goes, I tell you what, and I can't remember the specifics. The guy was looking for $250,000. He was going to give up like 10% of the company. So Mark Cuban goes, okay, I'll give you $500,000, but I want 35% of the company. And that guy goes, well, no, you go back and you phone your partner, stuff like that. So he goes back there for 60 seconds, phones the partner, comes back, and the partner going, yeah, but we said we're not going to give up more than 15% and blah, blah, blah. So he goes back in front of the camera, and Mark Cuban goes, what's your answer? He goes, well, talked to my partner. He kind of reviewed the phone call, said we're never going to give up more than 15%, blah, blah, we're going to pass. I heard the crowd moan. I'm moaning in my living room. And Mark Cuban, very stoic, he just smiles and he says, good luck to you. I just want to let you know, in one phone call, I could add you an order for $3 million. Good luck to you. So you just cut your nose off to spite your face.
Exactly.
Really. So you have parameters, but you're still in control of the company. And so you're looking at that, and that's the tangibles and the intangibles. You got to be flexible. Okay, we said we weren't going to give up more. You just watch a huge opportunity to go by.
And that's a good point.
Yeah. So this one guy said, okay, I need $30 million. I don't have a securities license. I can't go calling people, but I knew people can do that, and I can get a fee for doing that, and that's a nice fee.
Okay, so that's it. Our last question then is, as the Orlando community of 1 million cups, what could we do to help you?
What can you do to help me?
Yeah.
Be successful. Be successful. Okay. You've got my contact information. We help people, teaching them how to speak. You know, working with companies like that. We don't have any extended contracts or things like that. But you know, I want to see you guys be successful because I know Jim very well. I'm tied in with him and you guys now. And I love seeing people be successful because all those reasons for you wanting to be an entrepreneur, I went through all of them. Tired of working for somebody. My boss was horrible. I got a great vision. I want to get it going. You know, one of my professors in MBA school, which we disagree with, he had zero-sum game. When someone's winning, somebody's losing. No, someone's creating. Also, I lost my job. I'm going to go out and start creating. So that's adding jobs for somebody and adding more income and revenue in there. So, yeah, you guys be successful. You can call me. I've had people, I do seminars, call me when I'm going to the airport, and what do you think? I'm giving you a phone number for the airport, you know, somewhere it's a phone booth or whatever. No more phone booths. But, you know, that's my cell number, so you can give me a call.
So you know how Sean has his office at Panera Bread? Kerry's is at Four Rivers.
Yeah.
Great job. Thank you very much. Okay, so our second speaker today had to cancel last night late. His wife, unfortunately, is in the hospital. So what we're going to do is something we haven't done for a while, and that's called Ask the Mentors. So I've asked several of you guys to come on down here. And this is just kind of an open forum. So what you'll have the opportunity to do is ask these guys anything that you're dealing with, struggling with, or whatever. Let them answer your questions and see if we can help you guys where you need to go. So, oops, here, let me give you that. So what I want you to do is just introduce yourself, and what do you do? Just a quick two-sentence, what's your background?
Hi everybody, good afternoon. Chris Parlier, really doing fractional COO type of work in the aerospace and engineering sectors. It's been a good opportunity here in Central Florida.
Rupert Magnat from Entrepreneurial, where we teach you what other people don't.
Angela Verdon, Trilogy Leaders and Vistage, Florida. I'm a business consultant, accountant, and MBA.
Bernd Müller, Müller's F&E's culinary hospitality consultant here in Orlando.
Right, perfect. All right, so who's got a question for our panel?
Who's got a problem? Who's staying up at night?
Everybody needs to raise their hand on that.
Nothing?
Johnny, yeah.
Yeah, I was up late last night. Something that I was hearing about was, you know, like AI and companies this summer running towards it, this summer running away from it. I guess for entrepreneurs, startups, or people wanting to use maybe more AI, what would be your...
You know, I'm not an expert in AI. I'm an expert in food, okay? But I was just talking to my grandson. By the way, he graduated from Wilderness College last weekend. And we talked about AI, because you hear so much about AI. So he said to me, just wait a moment, Grandpa. AI is AI. You have to be careful. It's not what you always think it is, because it does a lot of damage to the environment. Okay? So he sent me 2 articles about AI and the damage on the environment. One was written by MIT. So authority in many different things. So I just want to bring this up right now. I'm not against AI. Please, don't get me wrong. It's here to stay, I'm sure, like so many other things. But it does a lot damage to the water consumption, energy, because, you know, when you print this stuff, you know, you need much more resources than when you print under normal circumstances. So I have not read enough about it to understand everything about it. But when he told me this, I was really surprised. I mean, he's a young man still who lives in the computer age more than myself, you know. But this is one thing I just wanted to bring up right now. I think you all should look into it and take a look and read about it. This is like so many things, the stuff we invent, there's pros and cons, and I think AI is one of those kind of tools. So I just want to bring this up right now.
One of the things I would recommend too is make sure that you read whatever you get or have done with AI. There was shared with us Saturday, one of the partners here at DSK. They've had several cases where attorneys were litigating a case. They asked AI, hey, and it wasn't even an existing judge. The case law wasn't correct. And this was a very well-known law firm that did this. And they actually ended up not only losing the case, but there were sanctions against the attorney for using AI without even reading it and knowing what it said.
Did you want to say something? So I'm not an AI expert at either, though I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. What you're talking about is what we call hallucinations. So there's it's been a bigger and bigger problem where AI goes out and gets information off the internet. And as we know, everything on the internet's true. And so AI uses that information to provide you with an answer. And it does, and depending on how well the code has been written for that AI by human beings, the quality of the answer you're going to get depends on that. So tongue-in-cheek every time you use AI. The good news is that there's a lot of quote-unquote experts in the field that can provide you with guidance on how to best use it. The most important thing is to know what prompts to use, what questions to ask, right? And honestly, just do what kids do. There's 5-year-old kids that are experts in AI because they just start asking questions. And they just keep asking questions. Why? Okay? And ultimately, they start to see a pattern, and then they can start answering the right questions. So that's would be my suggestion to you.
That's great stuff.
So I'll use one specific implementation example. So, really, if you're one of the startups that we've been working with independently, it'll look at, applying for jobs. You have a job seeker and you have a job posting itself. And so really it's a matching problem. And in most cases, you're trying to find that fit on both sides. But if both sides are using AI, the only thing it's doing is elevating, right? So I can get more job applications to fit the job posting itself. But in the end, it actually comes down to a connection. It comes down to networking. It comes down to who you know, who you have a relationship with. Because in some instances, and I think we heard last week, we had someone in the crowd that posted a job and they ended up with like 900 applicants, right? So, so it's just making it harder on both sides, but it's taking away the human element.
Perfect. Next question. Go ahead.
My wife and I, starting next month, we're in life insurance and annuities. So starting next month, we're launching a workshop for boys from 7 to 14 about money, budgeting, saving, Wall Street. So this can create a huge impact within the community, and our heart is in it. We're ready to go, but our time is limited because we're building an agency at the same time. Like, what's the smartest way to monetize the mission without compromising the heart of it?
So what's the easiest way to monetize a mission? What was the last part of the question?
Without compromising like the heart of it.
Without compromising the heart of what you want to do. Okay.
So I'll start. I would say that it's just the fact you got to start. You got to start now. Do the best you can with your resources. Reach out to the community, and try and figure out what you can pull together in that short period of time, and just throw it out there and get going. Just start today.
Well, what we were doing is our plan for Entrepreneurial was to spend 2 years building the community. Just build the community, get the good reputation, bring people together, let them make impact and all that before we started doing all our other programs, educational and so forth. So I'm assuming that your insurance business is your JOB type thing. However, the teaching the kids is your passion project. Okay, so We always make room for our, this is my passion project, 1 million cups. I always make room for it, right? So keep doing that, and I'd love to chat too, because we're developing a program to take kids from 7 years of age up through their Series A in entrepreneurship. But in any case, he's right, but plan it, try to plan it, understand what your goals are. Because once you understand what your goals are, then it makes all your following decisions easier, and with less waste and less, more direct route to success. But yeah, if the primary reason why companies fail is we fail, right? And we fail because we don't have the right mindset, we don't self-educate, and we don't plan sufficiently. And sufficiently means, if it takes 1,000 pages to plan sufficiently for you, then write 1,000 pages. If it takes 1 page, then just do 1 page, right? But only you know what that number is. So that would be my suggestion as far as that I hope I answered your question. Did you?
That's great. Okay, go ahead.
She wanted to.
Oh,
Well, I'll just add to that. Everything that's already been said is absolutely true. But again, at the end of the day, follow your passion. It's very, very simple. Follow your passion and make sure that you do your homework. It's already been said in this room that you have to put your every second, every resource that you can get your hands on, you have to pour into this passion to make it work. You saw the statistics on the failure of businesses, and it's very, very easy to fall into that trap before you ever know what's happened. So you have to stay ahead of it and on top of it.
Yeah, those statistics were very conservative too. No offense, but yeah.
okay.
Just 2 things I want to add on to it, and I want to leave it here. Credibility and transparency. Those are 2 things that will drive your needle of success, because people want to know who you really are, and character always will make a difference.
Exactly. And something else too, you heard from, both. You have to have the right mindset is probably most important, because it's proven that, if you're told your whole life growing up, money's the root of all evil and things about money, rich people suck, stuff like that, right? That's what your mind thinks mentally. So it's important that you have to learn to condition your mind and change your thinking and change your mindset, and that's 90% of helping you get to where you want to get to. And starting at a young age is great. You had a question?
Yeah, I was curious what you thought as far as the strategy of financing your concept. Should you bootstrap as long as you can, but isn't there an opportunity cost of doing that too long, and maybe you should go for crowdsourcing or do you have observations you've seen in the strategy that some of the successful ratios? It seems like you go too fast with financing and give too much.
Okay, so basically you're asking, is it better to bootstrap, look for outside financing when you're going through, correct?
What is the right mix of bootstrapping until it becomes an opportunity cost, and you should?
Okay,
so I've helped raise a lot of money over the years for many different companies, and I'll tell you this: it all depends on you. So when I was writing for the Orlando Business Journal, I had a friend of mine who wrote an article, 100 ways to raise money for your startup. Okay, and he listed 100 ways. Okay, and that was 35 years ago. And the thing is it depends on your goal. What do you want to do with the business? Okay, if you're in it for the long haul, you want to change the world, you want to just have a lifestyle business or whatever, then you got to do what you got to do. Okay, which basically means you bootstrap it and all that. But honestly, it's difficult to bootstrap something unless you have a really high value product or service, right? And you have an easy target market. Okay, you put those two things, and you're a good salesperson. You put those three things together, and you won't need any other money. You can just build it, grow from revenues and things like that. If you need funding in order to get to where you want to go, again, you got to ask yourself, what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with this company? If you're going to, again, just build a business, but maybe you need more money to keep it going and all that, you go to banks, you go to, I don't recommend credit cards. I've done that before too, and but you got to have skin in the game, right? If you want investment, then definitely the investor is going to want you to have skin in the game, right? So did you mortgage your house? Do you have loans? Do you have credit card debt or whatever? They need to know that you're in, right? And then, of course, you have to show revenues and so forth. So I tell people bootstrap as best you can, but with a better plan, and I don't want to sound like a bad record, but with a better plan, then your path to getting to that sustainability point is much quicker and much more direct than if you just wing it.
True.
I hope I answered that question.
So I want to add to that just a little bit. So everything Rupert said was absolutely correct, but I also think it very heavily depends on the type of business that you're in. So if you're in a high-tech business, if you've got a software, an app, or an AI-driven business, you're going to require a lot more cash to stay on top of quickly changing technology and competitors who could come in who are larger than you potentially, who have gotten wind of your idea and who could come in ahead of you and steal that out from under you. So you've got to be able to fund those types of things, and you might, as a technology company, it may be smart to bootstrap initially and get it kind of off the ground, but then look into venture capital funding and things like that, other resources to stay on top of rapidly changing technology.
All right, and last question.
Yes. One, thank you for creating this space. I think this is great. I know for me, I'm normally the one answering the questions, so it's kind of cool to be on the other side. In an effort to have a little fun, I decided to ask ChatGPT my question. And I'm a knowledgeable banker, value-driven commercial banker, but I'm new to the Orlando market. My challenge is this. The top Rainmaker COIs have deep 10 to 15-year relationships with their existing bankers, and newer COIs in the market aren't actively referring yet. On top of that, many businesses stay loyal to their bank until they're infuriated to make a reactive switch, often without time to properly evaluate alternatives. What strategic advice do you have for breaking into this tight-knit Orlando community and becoming top of mind before that infuriation point hits?
Boy, that's a good question. So just for summary for Zoom here, so basically what you're looking for is how does somebody that's coming into this space that wants to invest or something, how do they get in to become top of mind for everybody in the community?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's marketing, right? Being top of mind, being on people's radar means you have to be in front of them one way or another, right? So, but then you have to understand what's your ROI with that COI, right? So social media is notoriously bad for trying to get in front of people because of the algorithms that they've changed. And I won't bore you with the details about how they screwed small business that built them into unicorns and billion-dollar companies, and now we're the redheaded stepchildren. But you need to be in front of people. So, and the more directly you can get in front of people, like face-to-face, that helps even greater, okay? Especially for your target market. And that brings up the point where, do you really understand your target market? And how finely grained is that detail? Because the more detail you understand about your target market, the less money it costs you to acquire that customer, right? So if you go on social media, you have a number of different things, especially if you're verified or you have your your premium or whatever, they give you a lot more things to help you fine tune who you want your message to go to, and so your cost actually goes down per customer. But if you're just throwing it out there on social media, good luck.
Right. If you're going to use social media too, one of the things, I had a friend of mine that's really good with AI. What he did was he took what we're doing as a service, just asked the general question, what do you know about? We fine-tuned that question, and then he literally created 34 different potential clients and scenarios that I could work with, that now when I market out on social media, I'm talking to that person based on their pain points, what are they looking for and things. And it's amazing how when you create that avatar, how people will respond to what you're talking about. And I'll be happy to talk to you after, because I've done in the lending space, I'll give you some stuff we did.
And if I may add, a lot of banks I've done a lot of work with a lot of banks, and one thing that they do is they put the cart before the horse, right? They want you to be if you're a business or anything like that, they want you to be a member of their bank before they, support you in other ways. And I'm like, no, you've got, there's a lot of banks for which we can all choose, and we need to feel good about the fact that you're doing something that resonates with each of us, so that we're happy to come and support you, right? So you have to put the horse before the cart.
Yep, great. Thank you all for your input. All right.
About the AI, because I saw your concern about how much energy is being used to answer some of these questions that we are asking the AI. Like they tell you with your faucet, if you don't need to run your shower for 30 minutes, turn it off. The same thing with the AI, you don't have to tell it please and thank you, so therefore your service. So the more you tell it please and thank you, the more energy it's using.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so some of our sponsors that we have here, you'll see Kirkendall Insurance, Driven Digital. We mentioned Stoic Dan helps us a lot with our social media resources and things, so we get the message out. Orlandopreneur, we heard from Rupert earlier. Mr. Swanson is here, John Swanson back here. And myself with the Elefat Agency and Legal Shield Business Solutions. And then we meet here, so follow us all across the country every Wednesday morning, 8:30 a.m. networking, 9 a.m. is the event. So tell your friends, come back next week, bring somebody with you, invite them to come. These are our organizers, if you just raise your hand real quick. So if you guys have any questions, come on and ask one of us. We'll be happy to help you and point you in a direction. Connect with someone, go grab a cup of coffee, but use some of the smaller places. You don't need to go to Starbucks, they don't need the money. So I've been going to a little place literally right through the tunnel over here called Coffee for the Soul. CFS Coffee, great little place. So, what's that?
Foxtail.
I know.
Yeah.
Or now Foxtail, yeah. But I'm giving him another company to go after, I love you, Pete. Attend, apply, prepare, and present when you come in. And so why do you want to present? Because of marketing and brand awareness. It helps expose you to us out there, create strategic partnerships. That's a big thing when you talk with people. Remember, creating strategic alliance, strategic partnership. You may not do business with that person, but again, they could relate to you or introduce you to people you need to know. Hire and retaining talent. Networking experience, as you heard from Kerry, it's great. You gotta have a great 30-second commercial or a one-sentence something that makes somebody go, huh? And even if it's simple as hopping in the elevator and going, now that I have you all here for this meeting when the doors close, it works. It's amazing. And practice and feedback equals growth. So I want to thank you all for coming. That's in 166.5 hours, 9,990 minutes, and 599,400 seconds. And if you did not sign in because you came in late, please scan the QR code here and let them know you were in attendance. We'd greatly appreciate it. Have a great week, everybody.